Guys, we're going to go ahead and go over the math page for Friday, May 15th. Okay, this is a set of math boxes and it's lesson 6-9. Okay, so here it says use your pattern block template to draw a shape that has 4 sides. Well, we obviously don't have those, so just draw a shape that has 4 sides. Okay, over here we're going to take a look. We have some addition problems that have missing numbers. Okay. So we need to think about if we have 317 plus what is going to get us to 327, okay? Then here, 10 plus 673 will give us what? 708 is going to be 698 plus what? So what would we add to 698 to get us up to 708? And then 10 plus what will get us to 804, okay? I'm going to have you guys do the first two on your own because I think that you can handle those, okay? Remember, look at what place value is changing, okay? So a lot of these numbers have hundreds, tens, and ones, so look at which place value is changing and think about what do you need to add to that number to make it the place value, to make it change, okay? So let's take a look at this one. So we know that the answer is 708. But over here, when I'm starting, I have 698, okay? So when I look, I see that both my hundreds and my tens place have changed. My ones place has stayed the same, okay? Now, when I look at this, I need to think, what am I gonna add to 698 to get me up to 708, okay? Now, I know that my ones place isn't changing, so I'm not gonna worry about that, but I know that my tens place did change. Now, I have a 9 here in my tens place, okay? Now, if I add another 10, okay, I can't write that there. So what does that do? Well, I know that if I add another 10, that would make this 10 tens. And I know that if I have 10 tens, I can trade that in and give myself another 100, okay? So when I look over here, I see 700 and I see 0 tens left. So I realize that must be what I had to do. I had to add another 10 here, okay? Now that makes it 10 tens, but I can't have 10 tens there. So I'm gonna trade those 10 tens in and I'm gonna give that to my 600, which will make my new number 700, okay? But then that means that I have 0 tens left here. So I know that I must have had to add 10 to that number, okay? Now, this one is kind of the opposite. I know that I have 10, but what did I have to add 10 to get me up to 804, okay? Well, I have 0 tens. So I know that when I add this 10, I need to have something that is gonna make that is going to make me need to make a trade. And if I remember from up here, when I had a 9 in my tens place and then I added 10 more, that gave me 0 tens, okay? So I know that my ones place is going to stay the same, so I'm going to do that. Now, I know that if I'm going to add 10 and then need to make a trade to get it up to 800, I'm going to need to have 9 tens to start with, because then when I add that next 10, I will trade those in to give me another 100. Now, but I can't start with 800, okay? Because if I have 894 and add 10 more, that's not going to give me 804. So I know that I'm going to have to start with a 700 so that once I get that extra 10 right here, that will make me make a trade for another 100, which will then put me at 8. And then my tens place will become a 0 because I traded all those tens in to get that another 100. Okay, so these two are a little bit tricky, but I think you can probably do the first two on your own. Okay, write each number in expanded form. Okay, remember, we want to look at our digits in each place value. If it's a 2-digit number, we're going to do our tens plus our ones. Okay, if it's a 3-digit number, we're going to do our hundreds. Plus our tens plus our ones. Okay, so look at what digit is in each place and how much is that digit worth in that place value. And then you'll expand it out. Now remember, I'll give you a quick hint. If there's zeros, you don't have to write anything for those place values, okay? Over here, what number do the base 10 blocks show? Count them up, tell me what number. Use base 10 shorthand to show the number another way. Take a look at these. Is there something that we can do with some of these base 10 blocks that would make it so I can write this number using different blocks? Okay, it can't look exactly like this. It has to look a little bit different. So show me that down here in base 10 shorthand. And then down here, you can explain, what did you do up here? What did you do to show this number in a different way? Okay, and you can explain that down there. So I'm gonna have you guys go ahead, pause your video to do your work, and when we come back, we'll go over the answers. If there's something you're not sure of, you can just leave it blank and fill it in when we go over it together. Okay, welcome back to go over the answers. Okay, draw a shape that has 4 sides. You could have drawn a square. You could have drawn a rectangle. I drew a trapezoid. There are lots of different shapes that have 4 sides. So as long as yours has 4 sides, you're doing good. Over here, I had you do the first 2 on your own. So I know that when I'm going from 317 up to 327, my only place that's changing is my tens place. And it went from a 1 to a 2. So I knew that I had to add 1 10 to get there, but my hundreds and my ones both stays the same, okay? Same here with 673, okay, if I'm adding 10. Only my tens place is going to change because my number isn't high enough that I'll need to make a trade like I did down here, okay? So I know that just my tens place is going to change. It was a 7. I'm adding 1 more 10, so it became an 8, so I now have 683. Okay, expanded form. For 2-digit numbers, we just have to add our tens and our ones. So 2 tens is worth 20, 9 ones is worth 9, so 20 plus 9. You don't have to write what it equals when you're doing expanded form. You can, but you don't have to. 53, 50, because there's 5 tens plus 3, and there's my number. 134, so I have 1 in the hundreds place, which is worth 100, 3 tens, which is worth 30, 4 ones, which is worth 4, and I show adding them all together. And for 300, I can just write 300 because I don't have any tens and I don't have any ones, so I could write plus 0, and if you did, that would not be wrong. Or I can just write 300, okay? Over here, when I counted them all up, I got 415, okay? Now, I knew that I could write it a different way because I could take these 10 cubes and trade them in for a long. So then when I write it, I have 1, 2, 3, 400, 10, 411, 412, 413, 414, 415. And then I explained down here that that's what I did. I just said, when it said, how did you find a second way? I took 10 cubes and traded them in for a long. Okay, so here are your answers for math for Friday, May 15th. Great job, guys.